Hey guys, hope you're doing okay. Making another video today for lesson 9-4, and we're starting to talk about descriptive stats and some different means of measurement in statistics. And there's a couple of different things that you're going to have to do in today's lesson. So today's lesson is on page 704, numbers 1 and 2, and page 705, 1 through 4. So a couple different things that you have to approach. One set of questions you'll be asked to find a set of things such as mean, median, mode, and range. Now hopefully at this point you've heard some of these ideas before, but if not, we're definitely going to talk about them. So on like number 1, the points scored by each of the 7 basketball players is 12, 4, 18, 16, 21, 8, and 12. And it says find the mean, median, mode, and range of the data set. So whenever you're given this data set, you want to start by arranging them in order from least to greatest. So out of this data set, we know that 4 is the least, followed by 8, followed by 12. And as you're going, it might help to cross them off as you go so you don't lose track. And then we have a second 12. So we have 2 12s. And then we have 16. We have 18, and finally 21. So now we've ordered our data least to greatest, and we have a set of things we need to find. First, we need to find the mean. Now, whenever you hear the word mean, mean equals average. So we're trying to find the average of the data. In order to find the average, we have to add all of our numbers. So add all numbers and divide by the number of numbers, right? However many data points there are. So in this case, I'm going to add together 4, 8, 12, 12, 16, 18, and 21. So we're going to add all of those together. When you do that, you get 91. And then divide it by the total number of numbers. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 data points. So 91 divided by 7, and that gives us our average. In this case, it's going to be 13. So the mean of my data set equals 13 points. Okay? Now for the median we can say equals the middle. Right? If you think of like the median on a highway, so the median is the same thing as the middle. And the way you find this is you start by taking off each of the lowest values and the highest values in order. For example, like the 4 and the 21, we're going to take those away together. And then the 8 and the 18 will go away. And then we're 12 and the 16. And finally, we're left with 12 as the median. Now, if you get down to 2 points, for example, if we had another data point, we would get down to 2 data points in our middle for our median. What we would have to do then is take the average of just those 2. And I'll kind of show you an example here soon. So the median of this data set is 12 points. The next one is the mode, and the nice little way to describe mode is just the most. So mode, most. Just which data set, which data point shows up most often. In this case, 12 shows up the most often because it shows up twice, so that is the mode of my data set. And finally, we have one last thing, and that is the range. And our range is just the distance of our data. Right? How far does our data extend? So to figure out the range, we take the highest value and subtract the lowest value. And that will give us the range of our data. So in this case, our highest value is 21. And we're going to subtract our lowest value is 4. So if I do 21 minus 4, that will give me my range of 17. Okay, that means that our data set spans over 17 different numbers. right? That's from the highest value to the lowest. There are 17 numbers. Okay? So that's how you would do questions like number 1, where you have to decide and determine the mean, median, mode, and range. For questions like number 2, you have to actually draw what we call a box plot and a 5-number summary to explain the data. So you'll need to know a few different things in order to draw this. So first, let's look at our data. It says the data for calories burned per minute of exercise is in the table. And remember, we like to put these in order from least to greatest. So our lowest here is going to be walking, which is 4. And I'm going to put a W there for walking. And then next is going to be downhill skiing, right? And if you notice, our data is actually in order from greatest to least, so I don't even need to order them here. So find the 5-number summary of the data. Now there are 5 different numbers that we are looking for. We are looking for the minimum, which is our lowest data point. We are looking for the maximum, which is our highest data point, or our largest data point. We are looking for the median, which we know how to find from the last question, which is the middle. And then there are 2 points in between those, and we call this the first quartile, and then we have the third quartile. And the way that these work is that the first quartile is the middle of our lower end of our data set. So essentially it's the middle from the lowest number to the middle. The third quartile is the middle of our upper data set, or the middle from the middle number to the highest number. Okay? So with that being said, we know that our lowest number here, or our minimum, is 4, which is walking. So our minimum equals 4, right? So 4 calories per minute from walking. We know that the maximum equals 8 calories per minute from jogging. And now we can find our other 2, or our other 3. We know that the median, which is our middle, we can figure that out by just crossing out the numbers we have. And we get all the way down to 6. So our median here is 6. Right? And now we can use that data set to find the first quartile and the upper quartile. So first quartile and the third quartile. So to find the first quartile, remember that's the median from the lowest to the highest, right? And we don't include the median, so we're actually just looking at this part here, right? And if I find the median of that, I cross off here, and I'm left with 5. So my first quartile, I'm going to label that as FQ, is 5. And then my third quartile, I'll label that as TQ. Same thing, we go the upper half, we don't include the median, and then we cross off, and we're left with 7. Okay, and that's how you would do part A. And then part B, we just have to graph these points on our line. So the way we want to start with this is we want to start with a minimum, which is 4. So we're going to put a point here. We're going to start with our maximum, put a point here. And then we have the first quartile is 5, so we put another point. Our median is 6, and our third quartile is 7. Okay? And the way this works is we're going to draw a box around the first quartile and third quartile with a line through the median, and then a line extending to the minimum and maximum. Okay? So I kind of hope that makes sense. And if you look at the data, the way this should work is that 25% of the data should fall in each of those parts. Okay? And that's the way that this box plot is supposed to be represented. Okay? So I hope that kind of makes sense. To kind of help you out with a couple more things, I'm going to go to the next page and talk about how to find like the average if you're given an even set of numbers. Okay, so let's take a look at like number 3. Well, let's start with number 1. So we have these roller coasters here at the right, and remember we want to start by labeling them from least to greatest. So 82, and then 93, then 95. Then we have 100 twice. And then we have 107. Then we have 120. And then we have 128. Okay? And remember, if we're taking the mean here first, we want to add all of these up and then divide by how many there are. If I'm finding the median, which is what I really wanted to look at here, if I'm finding the median, I cross off until I get to a middle number. But notice I have 2 numbers. And the way that this would normally work is you would add the 2 numbers together and then divide by 2. And that'll give you the median of those 2. But in this case, since the numbers are the same, the median is just the number itself, which is 100. Okay? So I hope that kind of makes sense, and that's how you would do the median if your data set was even. For the 5-number summaries, so same thing, but now with your first quartile and your upper quartile, you'll do the same exact thing as what we just did here, in the sense that you'll take whatever the 2 numbers are, add them together, and then divide by 2, right, for your median. Okay? So I hope this makes sense, and if you need any extra help with that, if you need some extra support with these questions, please let me know. I hope you're doing well, I hope you're staying safe, and I hope you're getting outside and enjoying some of that sunshine, and I just hope that you have a great day. Thanks.